This is the AHSAA Weekly. This is your weekly inside look at everything going on with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I'm John Holt. Coming up on this week's program, we will visit with the Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Coach Steve Savarese, as we talk about all the state playoff competition underway now in the state of Alabama in high school sports. Also, Denise Ainsworth. She is Associate Director for the AHSAA in charge of volleyball. We will speak with her from the State Volleyball Championships in Birmingham. Also this week, the AHSAA Football Statewide Game of the Week on WOTM will feature Central of Phoenix City visiting the Oxford Yellow Jackets. We will speak with the head coaches of both teams, Patrick Nix of Central of Phoenix City and Keith Etheridge of Oxford High School. And David Holsford has his highlights from all across the state of Alabama. All of that coming up on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly.
Home making you sick? Moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions can remedy any mold or mildew problem in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
We are back on the AHSAA Weekly. We're going to take you to speak now with the Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Coach Steve Savarese. Coach Savarese is standing by in Birmingham. We are crowning state champions in volleyball at the State Volleyball Championships at the Birmingham Crossplex. You'll see and hear some of that going on in the background. Coach Savarese, welcome in. Glad to have you on this week's program.
Well, John, thanks. It's great to be with you. And John, I have to ask you the truth. Did you ever think we'd be here back in March?
Coach, I have to be honest with you. I did not think that we would be here, but I will tell you that I don't know if another state in the country has done what we're doing here in Alabama as far as high school athletics. It has been phenomenal what has happened so far in this fall season here in Alabama.
Well, it's been abnormal, but it's been wonderful, and I'm very thankful to the staff at the Alabama High School Athletic Association. This wouldn't have happened without them. You know, Denise Ainsworth, who provided the leadership for the fall sport, returned to play practice guidelines. She is also over volleyball. A lot of the credit goes to her for why we're here today. Jamie Lee is responsible for our winter sport return to play guidelines. So we've had so many people, as well as our member schools, who have done a phenomenal job providing as safe an environment as humanly possible for our students to participate. While we've known all along we were not going to get rid of the virus, we've learned how to live with it to mitigate the risk. And thankfully and prayerfully, we're here today. We'll crown our first state champion tomorrow.
Coach, that is pretty amazing. Well, I think the last time we had you here on the program, we were just beginning fall sports. There was some uncertainty there. Can you describe now, we've gone through an entire regular season of high school football. We'll have the last regular season games coming up this week, state playoffs beginning. As you said, we're crowning volleyball state champions this week. You know, I go out to games on football on Friday night, and the communities are coming together, the excitement that is always there for high school football. We're crowning state champions, as you mentioned, in volleyball. We're having cross-country meets. We're having swimming and diving. It is just amazing. It's phenomenal. Can you just describe what it means to see what has happened so far in these last 2 or 3 months come together here in Alabama?
Well, John, we try to keep everything in perspective, knowing that, as we said in March, we take everything based on current information. And we're very grateful for where we are today. but we're always very careful as we move to the future. That's why it's so important that everyone, while enjoying our sports the way they are right now, it's important that we don't get COVID fatigue. And when I say COVID fatigue, we still have to practice the 3 basic principles to mitigate the risk. 1 is physical distance, 2 is to wear a mask, and 3 is to clean. And if we'll do those things, and we've all seen all types of data come across regarding masks for positive COVID prevention, if we'll all do those things, we'll continue to have sports. But we can't, let our guard down. If we let our guard down, we're going to have more and more cases, especially during the winter, within the schools. And we'll see schools start to shut down, and we don't want to go backwards. We've accomplished so much. And as we move into the playoffs now for football, for volleyball, we've had the unfortunate situation in volleyball where a team did acquire COVID in Huntsville and was not able to play in the area tournament. We had one in Birmingham that was not able to play in the area tournament, therefore they were eliminated. And we're hopeful and prayerful again, and I'll say prayerful multiple times because that's what we all do. I hope every day, and we pray for our safety. But as we head into the football playoffs, we're very prayerful that we don't have teams that have to be eliminated due to COVID. So that's why I go back to COVID fatigue. Please practice physical distancing, wear a mask, and always clean your environment. And if we do that, we've got a chance.
Coach Savarese, thank you so much for being with us here on the AHSAA Weekly once again. Go crown some state champions out there. Give out some blue maps in Birmingham, and we thank you for the time.
Well, John, thank you for having me on. I look so much forward to seeing you down the road in the playoffs, and I can't thank WOTM, Vince, yourself, and everyone involved with the station for all you do for high school athletics. You'll have all these events. You're going to have our playoff meeting Saturday. What a great partnership, and we're so grateful for y'all. Thank you for having me.
Coach, thank you for the kind words. Coach Steve Savarese, Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Things a little bumpy in your driveway? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. Ox Foundation Solutions will come up with the right fix for you. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Without our contest officials, we would have no contest. I truly encourage our parents to be a shining example of sportsmanship regarding our contest officials and setting an example for everyone, as well as coaches and fans across this state, to treat our officials with respect.
Back on the AHSAA Weekly, it is the biggest week of the year for volleyball in the state of Alabama. It's the 50th annual State Volleyball Championships going on right now, even as we speak, at the Birmingham Crossplex. So if we're going to talk volleyball high school-wise in the state of Alabama, we cannot talk about it without talking with Denise Ainsworth. She is Associate Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, in charge of volleyball for the state, and she is joining us from the Crossplex in Birmingham, right in the middle of the AHSAA State Championships in volleyball. Denise, glad to have you with us once again here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you, John. It's always great to be on the show. Appreciate you having me on.
Denise, I can tell from hearing the yelling and screaming in the background and seeing what's going on there that despite all the COVID, and there's some restrictions and things like that going on, one thing that's not restricted is the excitement about high school volleyball and the state championships. It's as exciting as ever, I would imagine, in Birmingham this week.
John, you're exactly right. It has been great to watch these players and parents come through the doors this morning, so excited, and just very excited to be here and nervous and anxious, and just to see some great matches today. Man, we have had some wars out on the courts today. It's been awesome to see.
It is always hard to believe it's been 50 years now of state volleyball championships in Alabama. And this is the culmination of the season. Obviously, as we said, the big event, the state championships. Volleyball in Alabama, it seems, especially in the last decade or so, has just really taken off in popularity. You go to the state volleyball championships, that's about as an exciting of an athletic event as you're going to attend in this state at any time of year, and I'm sure this year is no different down at the Crossplex.
That is true. In Alabama, for the past 2 years, has had the fastest growing numbers in volleyball of the entire nation. So we're really proud of that, and that's a testament to our coaches in the high school setting that are doing such a great job. So it is very exciting, and fans feel like they've played every play with them after a match. So it's really great for families to come out and get involved, and it is very, very exciting and fun to watch.
Denise, you're in direct communication with coaches, administrators, players, and the fans as well, and families of these volleyball players. Can you give us a sense of how they feel, going back to the summer when we were not sure we were going to have any kind of athletics, to now be in the state championship and going to be able to crown state champions and hand out blue maps? Can you give us a sense of what those folks, the coaches and the players and their families, are feeling this week in Birmingham?
Yes, sir. I am so excited to have worked with these volleyball coaches. They've said since we began this process back in March that all we want to do is play. We just want to play. Let our kids get the opportunity to play. And we had a coach this week that said our kids would have played in a mud hole if you'd have let them play. We're just so thankful. We've received videos and thank you cards and emails. And this last weekend at the regionals, and even today, we've had people come up, and even if they lost, they said, you know, we're sad that we lost, but we just wanted to come and thank you for the opportunity to get to play. So high school athletics is alive and well, and people do understand the value of high school athletics. So we were, it was worth all the work to get us to this point, and we just appreciate everyone's cooperation.
Denise, thank you for the time being with us once again here on the AHSAA Weekly. Go crown some state champions and help hand out some blue maps to all of our worthy teams across the state of Alabama.
We'll start that process tomorrow and end that process on Thursday. So the blue maps will be going out beginning tomorrow.
Thank you, Denise. Denise Ainsworth is Associate Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association in charge of volleyball, joining us this week on the AHSAA Weekly from the State Volleyball Championships in Birmingham.
Uneven floors got you rolling? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
We are back on the AHSAA Weekly, coming up on the WOTM AHSAA Game of the Week this week. We have got a dandy for you to close out the regular season. One of the top games in the state of Alabama with two of the top teams and top programs in Alabama. We're talking about 7A Power, Central of Phoenix City, 6A Power, the Oxford Yellow Jackets at Lamar Field in Oxford. We're pleased to be joined now by the head coach of the Central Red Devils, Coach Patrick Nix. Coach, welcome in. Glad to have you with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Coach, let's talk about this matchup. A lot of times the last week of the regular season, you don't see a matchup like this across the state of Alabama. This is a marquee matchup for any week of the year. Just a great game coming up between you and Oxford on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think that it's for both of us. It'll set the tone for the playoffs, and for us, we just got coming off a bye week, and to get back into things before we hit the playoffs. So I think for both of us, it's a great challenge, but also a great starter to go into the playoffs for sure.
Your region's tough enough. Then non-region, you're playing folks like Eufaula and Hoover and Opelika and now Oxford. Iron sharpens iron. I know you believe that. I believe that. And certainly you're getting some iron sharpened with that non-region schedule that you played this year.
There's no doubt. I think that it's been very successful in the past for a lot of teams that you play better teams, you get better. And so I think that, for us, that's definitely the way it's been. Playing, Hoover and Eufaula early, definitely exposed some things that we needed to have exposed, that we needed to work on, and gave us an opportunity to work on. And obviously Opelika being a rival is not much of an option, whether that game's going to happen. But now, having Oxford at the end of the year, once again, the difference with me now being in 7A as opposed to 6A, 7A, we've only got 4 rounds in the playoffs. So this almost is like a first-round game for us against a team that probably would be more like a third-round type of opponent. So it gives you great competition walking into the playoffs to once again, like you just said, sharpen iron, and make sure that you got all your everything put to bed and everything ready to go when you go into the playoffs, and you're solid in every scheme and everything that you're doing.
Coach Nix, from the last couple of years being at Pinson Valley, you were in the same region with Oxford, so obviously you know about this program, you know about the team, you know about the athletes they have. Just your impressions of this year's Oxford team.
Oh, very good. I mean, they'll be as good a skill as we'll play all year, in any classification. I think they're very, very talented. Quarterback is really, really good player, does it with his legs and with his arm, very talented, very competitive. Tough kid, and we know what we're getting there. Receivers are really good. DBs are really good. They're good on both sides of the line. They lost some really good defensive players last year up front, but they've replaced them with some really good ones this year. And so, just a very good team. You coached really well, very good scheme, very tough, play extremely hard, extremely physical. And watching, they're a totally different team than they were the first game against Thompson. They had a lot of guys out for I don't know why, but when you see that, they're a little bit of a different team than what they were then. Playing with a little bit more confidence now. Have a lot of different pieces out there. But they're an extremely good football team.
Coach Nix, we thank you for your time and joining us once again here on the AHSAA Weekly. Looking forward to seeing you and your football team statewide once again here on WOTM and that huge game coming up Thursday night at Lamar Field in Oxford. Best of luck to you and your football team. Safe travels from Phoenix City up to Oxford as well.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing y'all Thursday night.
Patrick Nix is the head coach of the Central Red Devils of Phoenix City, getting ready for that 6A versus 7A showdown with the Oxford Yellow Jackets coming up at Lamar Field in Oxford right here on WOTM Thursday night on the AHSAA Game of the Week.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. Ox Foundation Solutions will come up with the right fix for you. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong.
Did you know that suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 24? It is also one of the leading causes of preventable death in our nation. It is time we all start to talk more about youth suicide and how we can change these statistics. My name is Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama, and I'm working with the Jason Foundation and the AHSAA to address this serious national health issue. Visit jasonfoundation.com to learn what you can do to help prevent youth suicide.
Back on the AHSAA Weekly, counting down to kickoff this coming Thursday night of the AHSAA Game of the Week here on WOTM. It is going to be a great matchup. 7A, Central of Phoenix City, a powerhouse. They were the state champions 2 years ago in 7A, the state runner-up last year, going into Lamar Field in Oxford to take on the defending 6A state champion and the #1 ranked team in Class 6A, the Oxford High School Yellow Jackets. Speaking of Lamar Field, we're going to take you to Lamar Field in Oxford, site of the game Thursday night, to speak with the head coach of the Oxford Yellow Jackets, Coach Keith Etheridge. Coach Etheridge, glad to have you with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
We're glad to be here, John. Appreciate you.
Coach, let's talk about this matchup. First, you opened up the season with defending 7A champion Thompson on the road. The next week, you go back to Metro Birmingham to take on the 5A runner-up in Pleasant Grove. In between 7A Gadsden City and now the 7A runner-up from last year, Central of Phoenix City. You didn't exactly schedule an easy slate in those non-region games, did you, Coach?
Yeah, I need to talk to the guy who did the scheduling. I don't know what's wrong with him. No, I'm just kidding. We need the competition. We want to see what we have. We want to play against the best teams, and our kids want to compete every Friday night, every Thursday night, whatever night we're playing, and they want to compete against the best. And I truly believe that it helps us once we get to playoffs, seeing all kinds of teams and the best teams. So, and those teams that you just mentioned, they're well coached. They got great athletes, and that's what we're going to see in the playoffs.
Coach, since the first couple of games of the year, really since August, your football team has not been challenged. You're the number one team in the state in 6A. You're averaging well over 40 points a game. This has been a team that shows no drop-off at all from the state championship team from last year. You kind of tell folks around the state about this year's Oxford football team.
Well, we're just, our kids get after it. Our kids play hard, and, we may not be the biggest team, but our kids play fast and they play physical, and they're fun to watch. We score a lot of points. Our defense flies to the ball, and, that's a testament to our offensive coordinator, Will Wagner, our defensive coordinator, Chad Cochran. Those two guys do a great job, as do our whole staff, of getting the kids ready to play on Friday nights, and, just having our kids believing that they're the best team in the state, and them going out there and playing like it.
Folks around the state will get a chance to see your outstanding quarterback, Trey Higgins. He's a guy who's committed in baseball to Mississippi State, but it would be a very dangerous thing if folks kind of pigeon him as a baseball player, because listen, this guy is a phenomenal high school quarterback, as good as we have in the state of Alabama. He's got a lot of weapons around him with the Fagans, Rod Elston, Rock Taylor at wide receiver, good offensive line with folks like Brandon Kirksey and Braden Joyner up front. I mean, you have a lot of weapons on that offensive side.
Absolutely, and Trey makes us go. Rock Taylor is phenomenal. Trey's a kid who's got over 22,000. He's got 2,058 yards right now, has thrown 34 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions, and, has also run for 700 plus and another 14 touchdowns. So the kid really makes us go, and he's a phenomenal football player. And I know he's a great baseball player, but, me being the football coach, I think he's a better football player than he is a baseball player. And if he could play both sports and when he gets to college, that would be huge for him. I think he could do something special in both sports.
Well, folks are going to see a great atmosphere at Lamar Field, one of the great settings for high school football in Alabama, right off I-20 there in Oxford. There'll be a packed house. I'm sure the rain will be out of here. It'll be a great night for football. Coach, we thank you so much for being with us here on the AHSAA Weekly to talk about this great matchup with Oxford and Central Phoenix City coming up on Thursday night.
Thanks for having us, John. We appreciate y'all making us the game of the week.
Keith Etheridge is the head coach of the Oxford High School Yellow Jackets, getting ready to host Central of Phoenix City right here on WOTM in the AHSAA Game of the Week, live Thursday night at 7.
If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Time for David Holsford of the Alabama High School Athletic Association's highlights from around the state of Alabama in the last week. We will begin in football as we take you to Thompson and Hoover. Both teams rolled into the state's biggest 7A game of the season unbeaten. First, it's Nathan Crockett with a short plunge for a Warrior touchdown. Then quarterback Connor Harrell follows with this touchdown pass to Warriors receiver J.B. Mitchell, who makes a great move and lets his speed finish the job for the score as he takes it right down the center of the field as Thompson gets another touchdown from Connor Harrell to J.B. Mitchell. Hoover's comeback gets thwarted by Thompson defensive back Gavin Shipman's interception. He returns this for another Warriors score on the defensive side of things for the Thompson Warriors. And a little bit later on, we're going to see Hoover's defense come up with a big play of their own just a little bit later right here. Noah Rosser knocking the ball free. Bucks teammate Marcus Clark going to pick up the loose football and ramble into the end zone for the touchdown on a scoop and score. But it was not enough, however, as, again, Thompson comes back. Harrell and Mitchell connect one more time on another touchdown pass to sew up the Class 7A Region 3 championship, a 39-23 win. Thompson, number 1, knocking off number 2 Hoover for the region championship. Next, we take it to Goshen. Class 3A Region 4 champion Montgomery Catholic taking on Goshen. This contest had its share of highlights, all for the winning Knights. This is Jeremiah Cobb had a fine run into the end zone for Catholic. Then he follows that was actually into the red zone. Then he follows his blockers on the next play into the end zone for a touchdown. 2 fine runs by Catholic running back Jeremiah Cobb. Next, we're going to see freshman quarterback Caleb McCreary. He steps up, finds receiver DJ Carter on a quick pass that turns into an even quicker touchdown, as he'll make the move on the defender and then right down the near sideline into the end zone for another Catholic touchdown. And the duo going to hook up again. This is McCreary finding Carter on a jet sweep this time as he speeds around the end for another touchdown as Catholic rolls 52-6 at Goshen down in Pike County to finish region play undefeated due to the Montgomery Catholic Knights out of the capital city of Montgomery. Next, we go to the Birmingham Crossplex, where Class 2A powers Addison and Horseshoe Bend square off in the quarterfinals of the 50th AHSAA State Volleyball Championships. Going to pick up the action with Horseshoe Bend getting a tremendous block for a point in the first set. Then Addison's Katie Barrett leaps to get the spike as the Bulldogs take control early. And Addison Smothers going to drop a point here as Addison cruises into the semifinals with a 3-0 win over Horseshoe Bend, two of the great teams, obviously, in Class 2A volleyball play. Addison getting the 3-0 win over Horseshoe Bend. We stay with the state volleyball tournament where defending Class 2A state champion G.W. Long of Skipperville takes on Hatton in another quarterfinal match. The Hornets get an early point, but Lady Rebels standouts Emma Claire Long and Brianna Henning lead G.W. Long to the 3-0 win with 23 and 22 kills, respectively. Henning also had 16 digs as G.W. Long advances to the semifinals to face Altamont out of Birmingham. G.W. Long and Hatton. Now we take you to the AHSAA TV Network Game of the Week between Pleasant Grove and Ramsey at Legion Field in Birmingham. This is DeMarcus Lacey at Pleasant Grove opening up the action very quickly, taking the opening kickoff with this dazzling kickoff return down the far sideline with the Old Gray Lady in Birmingham for a touchdown as Pleasant Grove grabs the early lead. Later on, we're going to see Lacey again. Here he is, taking it right up the middle this time, virtually untouched into the north end zone at Legion Field for yet another touchdown. We'll see the replay right here. You'll see big hole by the offensive line, maybe one hand on him, and cruises into the end zone for the Pleasant Grove touchdown. However, Ramsey claws right back. Quarterback Cameron Ivory, finding receiver Jalen Peterson for a touchdown. The Rams pull out a 33-26 win over the Spartans, and this is the game winner with the game tied at 26. Ivory to Peterson for the touchdown and a 33-26 win for Ramsey over Pleasant Grove, number 3, knocking off number 1. That will wrap up this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly. We will see you right back here next week.